We're live. We did it. We're live. Okay.
We're live.
I got to lock in. Welcome to a very special live edition of the Buffaloes Breakdown podcast. The reason why it's very special is because we're back to our roots. Jack is dead to us.
Oh, wow.
I don't know where he is right now, but he's traveling for Thanksgiving. So it is our good friend Jack Barsh will not be here. So it's just your friends Ryland and Jake talking shit about football for the next few minutes. So that's fun. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. Not necessarily all of it's fun, because it hasn't been a super fun week to be a football buff. Football specifically. It's been a fun week to be a basket buff. We are fresh off a pretty soul-crushing loss to the Kansas Jayhawks, 37-21 at Arrowhead Stadium. The Buffs controlled their own destiny. If they would have won out, they would have clinched a spot in Dallas, no questions asked.
And they squandered it.
And the words on the words straight from Deion Sanders' mouth, they fumbled it. So, what went wrong, Jake? What happened? I think there's one pretty glaring answer. Let's see if you knock it out.
The one glaring answer. Here we go. It's the run defense. Oh, I knocked it out of the park. It's a home run.
It was pretty hard to be wrong when they rushed for 331 yards against you.
Yeah, it was also a hanging fastball that I took for 500 yards deep center field.
Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, so it's fine. But, yeah, the run game. I mean, like, we saw this against Kansas State, right? Even without Travis Hunter and even with giving up almost 200 rushing yards and that was just to Giddens. We found a way to stay in that game and almost win it. Yet again, run defense. We could not stop Devin Neal. I saw a lot of statistics being thrown around this week about something like almost 20 missed tackles on Devin Neal, with like half of those being in the backfield, which is ridiculous. Like, if there's even kind of I don't know if that's true. If there's a shred of truth to that at all, that doesn't feel good. And it paints the full picture for you. But, you know, Kansas did some really good stuff. Their play calling was fantastic. You guys saw it, you know, the direct snap to Devin Neal, the handoff back to Daniels, and then Daniels runs a man-beating route that was faked like they were rolling to the left, and it was really designed to run back to the right. And, like, there was just some absolute chaos going on, and I don't think Buffs fans knew what to make of it at the time, and I don't even think the Buffs knew what to make of it. So, terrible loss. How are you feeling, Ryland?
I'm over it. You get over it fast. You'll learn. Hashtag buff shit. You'll learn that too. However, that was tough. There was a lot of weird stuff that Kansas was showing. Jeff Grimes throwing a bunch of tomfoolery at us. A lot of weird motions, a lot of weird wide receiver sets. It was just like a lot of stuff happening. The tackling was particularly atrocious. One particular player, I won't name names. It was pretty gnarly. They need to wrap up. That's I think I've been saying this for a fat minute now, but wrapping up and bringing players to the ground instead of just trying to run through them would probably be more conducive to success. Preston Hodge being out of the game was a real killer as well. I think that's a really underrated thing that was going on that I haven't really heard anybody talk about yet. Preston Hodge is the only true nickel corner on the roster. And when Preston Hodge goes out, they need to find somebody to put on the slot receiver. And the solution to that was keep Shiloh in at free safety and bring in Carter Stoutmire to guard the slot receiver. And typically, because it's Colorado football, they're playing man coverage. Carter Stoutmire is simply too big. And it's genuinely nothing against Carter Stoutmeyer, but he's too big and not fast enough to be able to keep up with short little slot receivers who are going to be chain movers and catch balls across the middle of the field every play, which was a huge bummer. I forget what the specific stat was, but they could have put Colton. Yeah, this is a good point. They should have put Colton in at nickel, and they totally should have. That's kind of what I was expecting them to do, and I'm shocked they didn't. But you never really know what they're thinking up there.
Because the knockout punch was Devin Neal every time, but I don't think what people realize when they look back on the game is Jalen Daniels almost had 200 yards on the air, and he was efficient. So whether it was with his legs or whether it was with his arm, he was hitting those 5 to 10 yard out routes at will. I think there was probably a half dozen of those short in or out routes that he hit about 5-10 yard mark that moved the chains and kept those drives alive. If it was just Devin Neal running the ball down our throat for 60 minutes, they wouldn't have had the type of success that they did. But they moved the chains in a lot of different ways. Daniel's legs, Daniel's arm, specifically targeting Stoudemire, and then Devin Neal for the knockout punch. So I couldn't agree more. I think there had to be something. I think you would have been, and we talked about this before the game, right? We said they'll either need to put, and Jack knew they were going to do 3 safeties because that's what they did a few weeks ago. But you and I thought, well, you don't really want to put Hood at slot corner. Maybe you put Travis at slot corner. I know it's not ideal, but at least he'll win that matchup. It's not like they've got these receivers. Like, it's not like they have a Will Shepherd on the outside that McKinney or Hood couldn't cover. I thought Travis at slot corner would be a good idea. I understand maybe that creates a tackling mismatch at times, but you got to put more guys in the box. You got to win up front. And it stunk. I think there were times where Livingston could have done a better job. I do agree with Dion. I think for the most part, he called a good game. Would I like to see a bigger guy in the box earlier on? Would I have liked to see Shiloh out of the game? Obviously, that's not Livingston, but would I have liked to see Shiloh out of the game given the mismatch? Yeah. So do you feel better about Stoudemire coming down and making plays on ball carriers? Like, you need to have Cam and you need to have Stoudemire in there, and then Shiloh's just going to have to understand that this is a mismatch. Like, he doesn't have to come out of the game, and it doesn't have to be this big thing like Shiloh stinks, get him out of the game, which some people would say that. But it could have been a thing of like, we have a mismatch. We have to have bigger bodies in the box. And that just didn't happen. So I think there was a lot of things that we could look at in hindsight and say, hey, if the Buffs would have done this, or if this play wouldn't have happened, whatever. But there were a lot of penalties. There were a lot of uncalled penalties. There was a lot of, dare I say, fuckery that went on. A bunch of drive killers on our end. Bunch of penalties that extended their drive. So that didn't help anything. But maybe there's 5 or 6 reasons. But at the top of the list, you got to be able to tackle ball carriers, right?
And then Mike says Cam had a really bad game. I'm going to disagree with you on that. I mean, it could have been better, but Cam's job isn't to come down into the box and body Devin Neal. Like, there was
not 15 times, not 15, to the level.
Like, it's his job to do it on occasion. But like, here's an example. They're on the 1. There's that drive. It's in the second half. I forget specifically where it is. And they're on the 1. And shit happens. And It is Devin Neal and Cam on a collision course. That's not supposed to happen.
Right.
Cam isn't supposed to be that guy that's supposed to make that stop. You're supposed to get, first of all, probably one of the defensive linemen to do it. And if that messes up, then it's a linebacker's job.
Yeah.
That's not Cam's job to do that. It's hard. The defense just got sliced. Cats didn't punt once. It was just hard to watch. And yeah, the refs really didn't help us. That one no call on roughing the passer still is on my mind.
Stinks.
And that's pretty awful.
And then,
but I don't think the refs are the reason we lost that game. I think that the tackling and the run defense. The refs certainly didn't help. However, yeah, it's a tough game, but
tough game.
You know, it's not impossible to make it to the Big 12 title game at this point. We're going to need help. We're going to need a lot of help, to be precise. But it's doable. I guess we didn't even touch on the offense. Do we want to talk offense, or do we just want to be like,
yeah, I mean, we'll
wipe our hands with this? I don't think we have a ton to talk about, right?
Keep it under like a minute and a half. I mean, Shedeur played pretty well. I mean, I think there was a lot of schematic things that we probably should have been doing differently in order to win that game. We had no run game, right? Per usual. They only had to send 4 guys, and their pass rush was terrible, right? Like, it seemed like their pass rush was good because Shedeur was running around, but Shedeur was running around because he was holding the ball for 10 seconds. Their pass rush was awful. They were typically bodied for the first 4 or 5 seconds. And then maybe they were able to get free, but Shedeur was more athletic than everyone on their defensive line, especially by the point they got to the backfield. So Shedeur, he kept those plays alive as long as he could, but ultimately we weren't getting open downfield. And why? They were playing playing about 7 yards off the ball. They had over the top help every single time. They're big enough and athletic enough at corner that they could come down and stop those kind of cheesy wide receiver screens that we've been abusing these last few weeks. We've fallen in a rut of just going to a wide receiver screen anytime something goes wrong. And I think it's a great play call for us. I think it worked well against teams with smaller, less athletic corners that could come up and make those plays. But, eventually at the end of the day, they were doing so much trickery in order to stop and in order to create space and in order to create open receivers. And Shermer didn't have that in the bag. He called a relatively vanilla game, no run game at all. It was either a 10 to 15 yard look or they threw the wide receiver screen. So I think Shedeur played well given the circumstances. I think Travis played phenomenally. He was open on just about every play. Well, not every play, but he was open on the plays that mattered, especially down in the red zone. He seemed to consistently be open, and he got frustrated with Shedeur a few times for not making the pass. I think those 2 dudes played phenomenally. I think the offensive line actually had a decent day, all things considered. And I don't think it's the receivers' fault necessarily. They didn't get open. I think we had to play from behind without a run game, which hurts. Whether it be the refs or not stopping Devin Neal, both of them hurt. But we had to play from behind with no run game. And that just killed us. That's what happened against Kansas State. So we got down early. We don't have a run game. So it's hard to claw back when they know you're going to throw and that's all you can do. So we don't have a changeup. We just have a fastball, and at times that's hurt us. So
yeah, and I think the fact that Isaiah Gustav got banged up and knocked out of the game, I want to say late into the first half. I don't remember the specific time. That really didn't help. The Dallin Hayden Micah Welch combo was not effective against Kansas. It's been becoming increasingly more clear, but it's been increasingly clear since I think the Cincinnati game that Isaiah Gustav is the guy. He's the guy that needs to be in the backfield on every big play. And if they're going to hand the ball off, it should be a Gustav probably 8 out of 10 times. Not having your running back is going to hurt. Jimmy didn't play either, but with the amount of wide receiver talent on this team, that wasn't a problem. Draylon Miller popped off, which is great to see. But I guess on a positive note, I do want to be a little more positive just to end this little Kansas segment, and then we're done forever. Kansas is dead to us until we play them at basketball. Travis Hunter probably locks up the Heisman with that one. I think that his betting odds to win the Heisman are at about minus 1,000. Last week we did a little segment about why you shouldn't pay super close attention to Heisman betting odds, but point still stands. He's really started to pull away. Boise struggled against Wyoming last week, which also helped us in Ashton Genty's case. But yeah, I think more likely than not, you're going to see Travis get that trophy in New York, which is really fun. I forget the official stat line, but 2 touchdowns on the day, around 150 receiving yards. Pretty damn good day.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to Travis.
Yeah.
We'll take our second Heisman.
He's doing his thing.
Best player in all of college football. Yeah. Okay. After that, I think we'll do Big 12 tiebreaker scenarios because that's a pretty clean segue. I'm a really big segue guy. I'm really awesome at doing these. So we need help. We need quite a bit of it, to be exact. I have an article on ralphiereport.com. Shameless plug. 1 shameless plug per episode. I got that in. So we need 2 of 3 of these teams to lose. We need either Arizona State, BYU, or Iowa State to lose. 2 of them to lose. If that happens and we beat Oklahoma State, we play in Dallas. There's one other weirder route that could happen, and it would be if BYU loses and Texas Tech wins, we would get in over BYU on tiebreaker. So yeah, I mean, it's possible. It's been a really weird, chaotic Big 12 season. Not a normal. There hasn't been a normal week of Big 12 football. So
No.
that's you should hold out a little bit of hope. So we're rooting guide this week. We're rooting for Arizona. We're rooting for Houston. We're rooting for Texas Tech, and we're rooting for Kansas State. So there you go. It's going to be a long, stressful Saturday. So lock in on Saturday. Lastly, though, we need to win against Oklahoma State. If we don't beat Oklahoma State, we're mathematically eliminated regardless of what happens Saturday. It's a must-win game to keep hopes of Big 12 championship game alive. It's quite literally impossible to make it if we lose to Mr. Mike Gundy. Okay, Oklahoma State preview time. What are you seeing out of Oklahoma State when you look at this Pokes team? What do you see?
They give up a lot of points. I wrote in my article today, they've lost 8 games in a row in conference. They're 0-8 in conference. I think in the last 7 games, they've given up at least 38 points in every game. One thing I'll say that is going for them is Ollie Gordon is starting to turn it on. He's averaged over 2 touchdowns a game over the last 5 games. He's also averaging over 130 yards in November. So Ollie Gordon, he's turned it on. I think he could find his way to, the 100 or 150 mark. Does that mean Oklahoma State wins? No, they're terrible. They're awful. They're not very good, but Ollie Gordon could have a big day. You guys got to keep in mind, this was a team that was projected to do really well at the start of the year. They haven't met expectations, but they have a few playmakers that could make things happen at any moment. So I think the Buffs will outscore him. I don't think it'll really matter too much what Oklahoma State's offense does. Ollie Gordon could have 4 touchdowns for all I care. I don't think it'll matter. He could have a Devin Neal day. I don't think it'll matter. So this isn't Kansas. This isn't a game to be concerned about. The only way the Buffs lose is if they beat themselves. And I don't know if you agree or not, but this is a game. These coaches are aware of the score. They're aware of the stats. They're aware of the draft implications for a lot of these players, with a lot of these guys being seniors on the offense. I think they'll be pissed off about Kansas. I do. I think they'll come out and I think they're going to try to put as many points on the board as possible. I think if you're a betting man, pick the over, especially for Colorado. I think they might try to run up the score. I think they might try to get as many guys the ball in their hands as possible. I think they're just going to try to put as many points on the board. And if Ollie Gordon scores, he scores. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a very good assessment. I feel comfortable calling Oklahoma State a broken team. They're just not it this year. Other than the wide receivers and Ollie Gordon, and the linebacker play at times, I think this team is just incomplete and doesn't have the juice, quite simply. I am gonna be interested
Not
to
having the
see.
juice.
They don't have the juice.
Like
Quite simply,
they
have no juice. Mike Gundy, I can tell, is already phoning it in. If you watch his presser from Monday, he calls Colorado's offense a typical college-style spread offense. No NFL influence. He sees no NFL influence when he looks at Colorado, is what he said. I think he might have a big storm coming. Because
but at the same time, though, and I haven't had a chance to speak on this yet, but I also don't disagree with him.
The offense. So okay, here's the thing: you have the NFL experience in the building. The offense is a fairly standard spread style offense, but calling it like a standard college spread offense, it's very clearly just a slight at us. I think.
Yeah, but is he wrong? I mean, Brett Coleman went as far to say offenses like ours are a high school offense in 2024, right? Like when you line up and shotgun every play, when you don't have a tight end, when you only run inside zone in the run game, like there'd be people that consider it a high school offense. And I know that the passing game, we've got the personnel and there's great adaptions and we know when to make the play call. But as far as like the playbook, if you opened up the playbook, I only see a couple plays a game that are anything outside of college football.
To be fair, though,
sometimes there's a good RPO or two, but even then, like you and I have watched Shador, he's not making reads on those RPOs half the time.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah, Mike has a point. We're an air raid team. That's true. It's hard to be. It's a lot of it is due to the limitations of the run game in the run blocking on this team. The offensive line, we're getting close to average levels of play. As Jack said a couple weeks ago, we're getting dangerously close to average play from the offensive line.
Right.
Still, the run game, not it. It's just so unreliable. So you're gonna have to essentially run the air raid. It is still a spread style offense. Like if you watch a real air raid team, like if you go back and you watch like a Mike Leach team, and in us, you can see how much Mike there's a vast difference in how much we're spreading the field in comparison to how much a true air raid style team. CSU,
you can go crazier. Yeah, you can go crazier with it. You can always up the tempo, and you could always go 5 wide.
Yeah, you can always go 5 wide, and you can always put your offensive linemen 3 yards away from each other,
right,
and just fully spread everyone is looks like they're about to run her out, and that's some real Mike Leach shit. But yeah, it's a fairly standard offense. Defensively, though, this is not your standard. This is it's Robert Livingston, man.
It's pretty unique in the sense that
it is.
They want to beat you man on man. Like they think they have the better personnel. Across the board, and they just say we're going to play press man
most of the time. Yeah,
right, and we're going to play press man, and we're going to kick your ass. It's a weird system. It's even at the NFL level, I just don't think it would work at the NFL level.
No, there's no chance. No.
You've got too many.
And it would. I don't even know if it'd work in the SEC or the Big Ten.
Right.
But it's perfect for where we are right now. In terms of
in the Big 12. I mean, we're playing.
Yeah. Perfect. You're not finding top level talent at these schools. You're playing against schools like a Baylor or a Texas Tech or even Kansas State or Iowa State to an extent. Actually,
Although,
Iowa State's a good example.
Damn, did Baylor burn us though for playing man all game? And they should have.
Oh yeah,
like if Sawyer
but that
Robertson,
was way early into the season too. They were still kind of figuring that out. I think that Baylor game is what put us on this trajectory. Like without the miraculous Baylor game, I don't know if we'd be here right now.
And if you gave Sawyer Robertson a few more games of experience, we lose that game for sure.
Yeah.
Like with that, we did not play our best ball in that game, and Sawyer Robertson didn't play his best ball. That was only his he was only like a game and a half.
That was yeah.
He was like a game and a half into Big 12 football at that point. So Sawyer Robertson's been playing a little bit better down the stretch even, but Monterey Baldwin, dude, his catch will always live in my mind, like the fucking layout catch that he made in the back corner of the end zone. That was incredible. Baylor actually ended up being down the stretch. They're probably the only team that burnt us, I'm thinking, on the man coverage. And you remember, I mean, there were times where we were trailing dudes into the end zone and Sawyer Robertson just missed them by that much.
And K-State, one play in specific, still haunts me.
Damn it, get out of man, Robert.
I know. You got to mix in a little bit of zone. You got to keep him honest. But oh well. What's done is done. Well, I was saying something. Oh yeah, I was talking about personnel on Oklahoma State. Offensive line is not as good as we thought. They're much weaker in the trenches than anybody anticipated. Quarterback play has been a legitimately serious problem. Alan Bowman is not it. We're learning this year that maybe staying for 7 years in college isn't the move, between him and a couple other players.
Cam Rising. Cam Rising. Oh, shit. Sorry.
You can't say his name or else he'll come beat us. Okay. Yeah, but seriously, so they have a really good wide receiver core. It's just a matter of getting the ball to them, and that's been a problem this year. Ollie Gordon is scary. Very scary. We're gonna let Ollie Gordon is gonna have a game against us. However, it's gonna be a one-man offense, and it's gonna be the man out of the backfield. I like us against it a lot. I'm not worried at all. Defensively, up front, nothing special. Linebackers are hot or cold, and the defensive back play has been pretty mediocre. My thought for Colorado offensively is this is just going to be it's going to be a fireworks show. But specifically, I think this is going to be the feed Travis game. I think they're gonna celebrate Shedeur and Travis from everything that has been kind of alluded to or implied publicly by the program. They're probably gonna not walk, but they'll be participating in senior day. So this will be their last game as Buffalo's at Folsom Field, which is a major bummer. But I think that this is going to be we're going to secure Travis's Heisman against a pretty mid secondary, and we're just going to light it up. And also the thing about that too is all of the wide receivers, if Jimmy plays, this is their last year of eligibility. So I think that there may be no attempt for us to even run the football. And I don't think that that's a bad thing against Oklahoma State. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting. And you're right, man. They have some good playmakers offensively, but haven't seen the offensive line and quarterback to distribute the ball, so doesn't really mean a whole lot. Ollie Gordon's been their playmaker. I think they have more playmakers, but their offense kind of gets boiled down to being two-dimensional when you don't get blocking, and then your quarterback's a bum. Sorry. Quarterback's a bum, though. So, yeah. And Bowman's not even the worst quarterback we've played this year. KJ Jefferson was
That was pretty rough, dude.
He's stunk.
KJ Jefferson was rough. Watching Noah Fafita was hard.
Yeah.
Watching Isaac Wilson, dude.
He actually, you know what?
He started heating it up at the end of the game.
How bad his offensive line played. I think he might have even played a good game.
Yeah.
like he got hit 25 times and
I felt really bad for him, genuinely.
Yeah, for him to come in the third or fourth quarter, whatever that was, and throw that dime down the far side, that was a good throw. That was a hell of a throw on Travis to and
then he was finding that tight end, them Utah tight ends.
He was throwing darts over
Kyle
the middle.
Whittingham's finding them apparently in like dumpsters. They're just, he's going on the street and picking up good tight ends.
He's like, hey, calling all 6'7" corn-fed white guys, come out to Utah. And I think it's working. They've got 6 guys on their roster seemingly at any time that can just step in. It's the
Ford F-150. Do you know about the Ford F-150 thing? Where all the Utah players get a free Ford F-150. That's true. They get a Utah, it has like Utah Utes on the side of it. It's an NIL deal. So that actually makes a lot of sense, as they're getting lured into Salt Lake City with the promise of a free truck, and they're staying because the dirty soda, and there's what else is very, very Utah? Cafe Rio in Neaters.
Not saying curse words
or drinking coffee. Not to get too far down the rabbit hole. Yeah, I don't know. I'm to be quite frank, I'm not scared of Oklahoma State at all. The spread I just checked, 16.5 points in our favor. That I believe is the largest spread in a game that we've been in since close your ears if you're sensitive. Stanford last season. That was hard to take in, but this is just a different team. I'm not worried about something similar like that happening. And even if some tomfoolery was to happen, we'd still be 8-4, and that's better than I think every single person predicted. We're gonna go 9-3 and probably not make the Big 12 championship game, and people are going to be disappointed. Isn't that crazy? Remember when we were like, are we going to make a bowl game? We had to argue with people online about this team being good enough to get bowl eligible.
Right.
This is a tremendously successful season, regardless of what happens next week in things out of our control.
Right.
It's a very special team. With very special players, and we need to make sure to enjoy this week. Seriously, this needs to be one of the weeks that we're all locked in and happy and enjoying some Colorado Buffaloes football, even though I know the game is a little bit early. That's one worth waking up for. Seeing Travis and Shador and Will and Jimmy and LeJonte,
just get
Cam and Nakai. And all those guys play their last game as a Buff. So that's something that we gotta enjoy and keep in mind during the games. Can't take it for granted, because next year sounds like it's actually going to be pretty fun. Even though
we're not going to be as good.
No, I think there's going to be a clear step back.
But you got to take a step back to move forward. I believe in a lot of the stuff we're doing, but we got to soak this in. This is. You're not going to have, going forward, we're not going to have a year where, I don't know the stat exactly, but probably 70 or 80% of your main players are all seniors. We were able to go into the transfer portal and get so many big time playmakers. I don't think there's going to be a Will Shepherd in the transfer portal every year. Shador.
No, there will be somebody similar, but there's not going to be a Will Shepherd that comes to Colorado every year,
Yeah.
Having Shador was such a cheat code to getting good wide portal receivers. It's having a quarterback like Juju, it's going to take Juju time.
It's going to take Juju a little time, but we believe in Juju. It's just it's going to take some time. We're not going to be a Big 12 contender off the bat.
Got to get some run game in 25. Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. That would be pretty cool.
I don't know that we can say, but there's some crazy
No, I don't
rumors.
think we can't say it.
We can't
don't
say
it.
I won't. There's rumors.
I wouldn't be concerned.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Mike Lurie said, I think Omarion Miller is better than Will Shepherd. That's actually a hot take. What do you think?
That is a hot take. However, I think Omarion Miller has the potential to be better than Will Shepherd.
He has the potential to be better than Will Shepherd.
But I wouldn't go as far as saying I think Omarion Miller is.
He doesn't have he doesn't have the hands, like that level, the hands, the body control. He's not as deadly of a red zone threat yet.
Will Shepherd is the better route runner at this point in time. That's gonna come though. That'll come with time.
Omarion Miller is right there.
He is there, right but there. It's not by a significant margin.
He's right there.
No, Omarion Miller's awesome. The Juju to Omarion Miller combo next year, that connection is gonna be really, really fun.
Yeah.
The two Millers, there's gonna be a lot of We Are Millers jokes next year, hopefully, barring transfer portal shenanigans. So I'm excited for that.
Well, and I think there's a lot to be excited about. Other than that, like Draylon Wright's going to take another step up. He's been called the Deebo Samuel of the offense. And then I'm excited about Cam McKell, right? Like he's not going anywhere. Yeah, he's been hurt this year, but he's supposed to be our next two-way star. I think, like the development of Cam is going to be one of the most interesting storylines going forward.
Yeah, that's going to be very fun. Him and Draylon Miller can both play, I think, both ways. Draylon Miller, I think, did play DB in high school. I do want to, I guess, talk a little bit about the Malachi Nelson stuff. To be quite frank, do you know who Malachi Nelson is?
No.
Okay, so Malachi Nelson, 5-star wide receiver, went committed to USC last season, like 2023. Sat behind Caleb, didn't play, transferred to Boise, and lost the starting job to essentially a no-star. Lost the QB competition. If you're going to a G5 school, granted it's probably the best G5 team in the country, and you are not, and you lose a quarterback competition to Maddox Madsen. How many stars was Maddox Madsen even, or out of high school? Because this is going to be interesting.
Not many.
3-star.
Okay, that's solid.
Solid, but still, if you're going to go and I'm not. There are concerns. Kyron Drones. If I got to pick one portal quarterback that we could go in and snag, it would be Kyron Drones from Virginia Tech. That's all I'm saying on that. I don't want to open that can of worms too hard.
Well, and there's a lot of QBs on this roster too, so that'll be worth looking out for.
ASU playing for a chance to go to the playoffs with a freshman QB. If the defense in 25 plays insane, I see possibly no drop from third, fourth place. Malachi Coleman. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not saying I don't. There will be a step back, but I don't think the step back needs to be necessarily drastic. I think it could be a step back from 9 to 7 wins or something in that vicinity. It's going to be more of a Sam Leavitt came from Michigan State. This isn't his first year being around college football. But yeah, sorry, I'm getting distracted by the chat. What was I saying? Yeah, no, I don't think that the step back needs to be drastic. We'll have to see though. It's gonna be an interesting year. The game that Omarion Miller subbed in for Travis and he got hurt, he looked just as good as Travis. He had 170 before he broke his ankle. Just saying. Yeah, no, seriously. There's going to be every single wide receiver. This is the deepest wide receiver room in the country by, I would say, significant margin. Somebody goes down, somebody's popping right back up. We saw Omarion Miller do it. We saw Draylon Miller do it last week. We've seen Draylon Miller do it against Utah as well. The future is bright. It's genuinely very seriously bright. And with how this program has established themselves as recruiters and in the position that that we're in the NIL world right now. We are in a position to be a very solid football program and probably be in the upper echelon of the Big 12, if not a top 3, top 2, top 1 football program in the conference. We should have a more complete team next year, though, with the tight ends. Hopefully a kicker that can kick the ball out of the back of the end zone. Yeah, that'd be pretty nice. It's kind of hard watching the crowd celebrate when there's a touchback. Kind of hurts my heart a little bit. But they are recruiting multiple 5-star kickers right now. I'm not super worried. The tight end, yeah, having a tight end would be nice. Having that, big targets hit over the middle of the field, especially for Juju next season, would be nice.
Yeah, well, the other thing, too, is Motto will be back next year, too.
Motto will be back. We'll have to see. Motto will be the spot kicker, but we'll need a place kicker.
Well, and I'm not opposed to someone taking his job. Like, I love Motto, right? But he's not.
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's Dion's guy. Motto's really fun. He's an awesome guy. Right. He's an awesome guy. He really is. But, maybe having him around and having a kicker with a bigger leg and you can use him interchangeably. Once you get past that 40-yard range, you can bring the guy with the cannon in. Yeah. We'll have to see. Coaching shuffle just began with North Carolina. Any players to poach? To be quite frank, I don't know enough about North Carolina football to to say if we should poach any players. If there was a team to poach, I would assume it would probably be Tulane right now. Wherever Craddock goes is probably going to be where most of those players go. But that team's loaded. And Boise, too. Boise's a pretty damn good team, especially on the defensive front. Nobody ever talks about it because people are only talking about Ashton Genty. That defensive line's really damn good. If we can go snag a couple of those guys, I'd be pretty happy. We never did predictions for Oklahoma State, I'm just realizing. We got a little distracted by the chat. Thank you guys for coming in and asking questions. It's good to hang out with you.
Yeah, keep asking questions.
Ask more. We're having a good time talking. But score prediction. We'll go score.
Yeah, I'm I don't know to what extent we're going to try to run up the score and put stats on the board, but I could see it being 49 or even into the 50s. I think for the sake of being, no, I don't even want to. I think 49. I really do think we try to put up as many points as possible. I think 49. I think we give up some points too. I think 49-28.
I was going to say 45-21, but I do like the 28 as well. So I'll go 45-21. You're 49-28. That's, we're really close actually to being on the same page. We're usually pretty close to being on the same page. Player of the game, we can do offensive and defensive. I got time today.
Yeah. Offensive player of the game is a tough one. Whenever Jimmy comes back, they're going to feed Jimmy. Jimmy's a senior. I think his eligibility's done.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, this is his last year.
They know how good Jimmy is. Jimmy will probably get a spot as a practice squad guy, but they want to put some tape on. They want to put some more tape up because it's really been since week 1 since we saw Jimmy, have a game. It's been since North Dakota State. So I think I've been saying it for weeks now. They've made it abundantly known. Whenever Jimmy comes back, he's going to be fed. He's a perfect example of what this offense is going to look to do. They want to put film up for these guys. They want them to get drafted. If their draft stock goes up, that means more players come to Colorado. There's a lot of incentives for us to just run up the score on Oklahoma State, whether it be just because we're pissed off or whether or not we're trying to get a couple points up in the ranking, getting players drafted. There's a lot of incentive. But yeah, I think they're going to look to Jimmy. They're going to look to Travis a ton. They're going to look to Will. They're going to look to LeJohntay, although LeJohntay might play a little bit of backseat if Horn's in the game because, like I said, they want to feed him. But I think all in all, you could pick just about anyone, but I'm going to say Jimmy Horn again. It's super lame, but if Jimmy plays, they're going to feed him.
Yeah. I like the Jimmy pick. That probably would have been my pick. I know I mentioned Travis earlier. I don't know if I'm legally allowed to mention Travis again. If I had to pick an offensive player, it would be Travis.
Well, he's the right answer.
He is the right answer. He's always the right answer, offensive or defensive. But I'll go Will Shepherd, another senior. Obviously, the connection between him and Shedeur has been something pretty epic, pretty special for the last 10 or so weeks. But I'm expecting a big day out of him on senior day. Oklahoma State's secondary, nothing to write home about, as I've already said. I'm expecting him to get open downfield quite often and him to get his way in that back corner in the end zone like he likes to do. On those moon balls, touchdown or two from him, in my mind, seems pretty likely. And we're both in consensus that Travis is going to ball the fuck out. So There we go. Defensive player of the game. I'm going to go first because I don't know if I'm going to steal your player. But I'm going DJ McKinney. Was that your player? Nope. Okay, we're good. This is a big game for DJ McKinney. I don't know how known this is. It should be well known. DJ played at Oklahoma State the last 2 seasons. This is a very big game for him. So I'm expecting him to come out and play some really damn physical football and shut down those receivers if the quarterback doesn't do that on his own. So I think that this is going to be it's a very important emotional game for DJ. So I'm expecting him to come out and kind of play with a lot of heart, get emotional in a good way, and kind of just ball out. Kind of get
DJ's going to play. Yeah, DJ's going to play so well that all the Oklahoma State receivers actually transfer to Colorado.
I would give me fucking Brennan Presley. That guy's awesome.
Yeah,
I want Brennan Presley.
I've been saying this for a while. I like Shetron. I know he's like their number 3 guy. He's still a sophomore. I like Shetron a lot, dude. I got to watch some of his film from this year. He's only got a few hundred yards, but he's pretty electric. He's like the perfect build. Pretty good route runner. Dude's like kind of electric. In my college football playthrough, I went and got Shetron in the transfer portal. And I was like, yeah, we need to make this happen. But Oklahoma State might be poached too. Talk about teams that are going to be poached.
Yeah, I don't know if Mike Gundy's going to be there after this year. This has been a pretty tough year.
He might not be there.
He's going to go take the Florida job. He wants the Florida job.
Florida State?
No, not Florida State.
Okay.
Florida. But I think they're keeping Billy around. Billy's going to keep that job.
Dude, I think Florida State would have
Billy
to pay
saved
someone.
his job. I don't have to worry about that anymore. So good for us. And
Florida
shout out
State
to Billy
would have
Napier.
to pay somebody $1 billion to Florida State. They'd have to pay someone $1 billion to be their head coach at this point.
Okay, yeah. Head coaching news. This is a thought that I have had over the last few weeks. We better hope to God that LSU doesn't fire Brian Kelly. If there was a school in the SEC that I'd be scared of Deion leaving for, it would be LSU. That's the one. I think that Deion likes kind of not having to. He likes not having the athletic department all up in his business. And at most SEC schools, that's going to happen. There are 2 schools in the SEC that I don't really anticipate. I don't think that would be something that happens super intensely. Florida would be one of them, but to a lesser extent, LSU is the one. If whoever is the coach at LSU can do whatever the fuck they want, more or less. And that scares me. So hopefully Brian Kelly gets himself off the hot seat with whatever game they go to.
I could totally see Deion going to a better school eventually. I don't know that I see it this year though. Do you see it as early as this year?
I don't, but I see him going to very few school. I think LSU is the only school I'm legitimately concerned about. I will say LSU is the one school that I would be scared of.
Yeah, I mean, God, that's an awesome coaching job. But keep in mind
It
the
is,
odds are
and
low. LSU has to be
I'm
bought
not worried
in.
about it. When with this recruiting class that's coming in, and out of Dion's mouth, they're going to hit the portal like no one's ever hit the portal. So that's going to be pretty fun. They got the money to go do it after this season. Or we're in a pretty good spot. We're also in a spot to keep whoever wants to stay, which is good. We'll just have to see. And the program's looking up and up. I want Nick Martin. Nick Martin would be awesome. And so would Colin Oliver. Yeah, I voted for Nick Martin and on the media preseason all conference ballots, and I also voted for Colin Oliver. Yeah, the linebacker play is good. It's tough. It's tough when players get hurt. Fans know.
Yeah, that addresses a key need because we are going to lose our two main linebackers. And,
that's true.
We saw Trevor Woods is gone. He's going to be transferred out. Bentley and Hill Green are both going to do their best to go get a job somewhere in the league.
They should at least go be on a practice squad, especially Hill Green.
Yeah,
Hill Green is like my favorite player on the defense, maybe other than Cam and DJ McKinney.
Yeah, like a practice squad guy for the Colts or the 49ers or one of those teams who play
him on the Colts would be crazy. He would wreck havoc, dude.
Yeah, no, I think those linebackers that are versatile and are decent in pass coverage, like those guys have a spot on a team. It might not be starting for a team, but they'll have a spot somewhere.
Yeah, Jalen Wester did not look good in the Kansas game. I don't think anyone looked good in the Kansas game, so I'm not concerned.
What do you have? He had an offsides penalty.
Yeah, and there was some tackling stuff.
Yeah.
But no one looked good against Kansas.
He might be a guy to watch. Yeah, he might be a guy to watch transfer out because LaJonte is a senior.
Yeah.
If with your brother leaving, I don't know how tied down he is to Colorado. This is entirely speculative here, but I'd say if I had to pick, if I had to make a list of guys who I thought would be a high risk of transfer, I'd put Jalen Wester up there. Not saying he will. I haven't talked to him. I have no idea. But with his brother going on to the league, who knows where he'll go? Yeah,
I don't know. This team is going to get a pretty big and drastic facelift, I will say, just because of the amount of graduate transfers that we bring in.
Yeah,
and I think every year going forward, it'll be pretty. A pretty different team year in and year out. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
No, not really.
No. Do you want to do Big 12 Pick'em? We can. I don't have best bets because I haven't had time to look.
Yeah, let's just do Big 12 Pick'em. We'll wrap it up there.
Can do Big 12 Pick'em. Can you tell how organized we are?
If you've got guys have questions, drop them in the chat.
Yeah, we're happy to keep chatting. So
we'll get to those, and if not, we'll look at the Big 12 games this week, and then we'll get out of here.
Hell yeah. Okay. Okay. ESPN. I'm sorry. Here we go. We got it. We did it. Okay.
I got it. You don't.
First game, I got it though. But here's the thing. Oklahoma State at Colorado. 3, 2, 1. Colorado.
Oklahoma State. All right, next one.
Okay. No, just kidding. Utah at UCF. This is a real fucking toilet bowl. That's going to be, what time is this? Kickoff 6 p.m. Everyone's going to be drunk on Thanksgiving. This is a good one to eat a bunch of turkey for and fall asleep in the middle of. So there you go. Yeah. Eat your leftovers.
Yeah, I guess
right before
I've been higher on UCF than most. I think they've got some decent quarterback play behind KJ Jefferson. I guess give me UCF just because they have a quarterback.
Yeah, I'll take UCF as well. RJ Harvey's still good just because they can't have.
Well, and they're at home.
Yeah. Okay. Finally, Saturday, Baylor or Texas at. Oh my gosh, not Texas. Kansas at Baylor. Yeah, Kansas win that game. I think Kansas looks like an unstoppable force right now. They're like hotter than hot. Baylor's really fun. Baylor's a very underrated team, but I don't think anything's stopping Kansas from reaching a bowl game at this point, and I'd be shocked if Baylor pulled this one off.
You know what's crazy here is give me Baylor. I think it's a super close game. I think Baylor is still they're bigger, they're more athletic. I think. Give me. I think this game's within 7 points, but give me Baylor.
What's the spread?
I have no clue.
Kansas by 1.5 on the road. Interesting.
Yeah.
They think it's going to be close. Yeah, I don't think Kansas just beat the 3 top team or 3 of the best teams in the conference just to lose to Baylor. We'll see though.
Somebody told me today that if all of the top teams in the conference lose and Baylor wins, that Baylor somehow gets into the conference championship.
That might be true.
Is that true?
They're 7-4. They're 7-4. They're 5th in the conference.
Somebody said that. I was like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, Baylor's actually good.
Make me feel better as a Colorado fan, right? Like if Baylor's plotting on everyone in the whole conference's downfall and they have to beat Kansas, like it's not looking good.
Yeah. We'll have to see. Next game, West Virginia at Texas Tech. That's another tough one.
It's another tough one.
I'll take Texas Tech. I think West Virginia is in a emotionally hard place right now with how disappointing of a season it's been in the fact that I don't think that Neil Brown is exactly saying what the players in the locker room want to hear or what the fans and the players in the locker room want to hear. So I think there might be a little bit of quit in West Virginia. They're already bowl eligible. They're already going to some really shitty bowl game at some point in December. Give me Texas Tech.
Yeah, I think this game could probably go either way. I hope it's an interesting game at least. I think it's tough, dude. I just take Texas Tech. They're at home. I'm 3 for 3 on home picks right now.
Here's an interesting one.
Oh,
you go. What are you gonna say?
No. I want to hear the next one.
Arizona State at Arizona. Arizona State is an 8.5-point favorite on the road.
Yeah, I know Arizona started to figure some stuff out, but I don't think there's any reason to overthink this. I'd probably even take Arizona State spread here.
Give me Arizona.
Oh, boo this man. Boo this man.
This is not a pick from the head. This is a pick from the heart. And it's because the Buffaloes need it. And this game always gets really, really weird every year. Really weird. This will be T-Mac's last game in college. This will probably, I'm going to go on a limb and say no Fita's last game as an Arizona Wildcat.
That's very possible.
I'm expecting he'll probably go to Washington and Jed Fish, go crawling back if I had to guess. Yeah, I'm expecting some weird. So this is gonna be a pretty sicko weirdo game. If Arizona State lost, that would help us a lot. It would greatly help us. Give me Arizona State. This is an emotional pick from the heart. I'm trying to will it into the world. Okay, next game. TCU at Cincinnati. This is the battle of mid.
Yeah, that's tough. I do like Cincinnati's defense, but TCU's played some good defenses and still found ways to score points. I think I'll finally go away from – well, actually, no, Arizona State wasn't the home team, but I'll go TCU here. I've been picking Cincinnati every week. I am pretty high on Cincinnati, but I think their defense, especially their secondary, can be a little bit leaky, and TCU has a high-powered passing attack. So give me TCU, but I'm not saying take that one to the bank.
I picked TCU simply because TCU is more fun. Josh Hoover is awesome, and Savion Williams is also awesome. So there you go. I'm picking TCU. I think they'll both have big games. I think the star power on the Horned Frogs kind of trumps the whole of the Bearcats. Okay, this is a really pivotal game for the Buffs, and this is a really fun game. 24 Kansas State at 18 Iowa State. Farmageddon in Ames. Cyclones are 2.5-point favorite at home. Who you picking?
I'm torn, because Kansas State on their best day is probably the better team. But on the road, Avery Johnson has been prone to mistakes. I think Kansas State's the better team, and I really, really, really want to pick them, but my brain won't let me. I'll go Iowa State. I think Avery Johnson has a big turnover in the second half. Iowa State plays the better ball. Iowa State plays more consistent ball. Kansas State looks like the better team. Iowa State still wins.
Okay, we're going to flash back to last Saturday in Salt Lake City. Iowa State plays an awful game against an awful Utah team and barely survives and wins on a missed Cole Becker field goal at the last second. Flashback the week before that. Who did they lose to? I don't
Kansas
remember.
State. When you're talking about when Kansas State lost to some.
No, Iowa State. Who did Iowa State lose to? No, they did. No, they won. Iowa State won. Iowa State won the week before that. Well, okay, then flashback one extra week, and Kansas puts up 48 points on their head, and really gives it to them. I think Iowa State is in a really, really tough position to kind of they have no momentum, and I think that K-State is really starting to kind of figure it out. Avery Johnson looked really good last week. They tore Cincinnati to shreds. K-State is the better team. Iowa State's probably the better coach team. Iowa State's the more consistent team. But this game always gets weird.
And they're at home.
Yeah, and they're at home.
Make your pick, though. That's just why I made my pick. Okay.
Kansas State.
Yeah, no, I mean, my heart's telling me Kansas State. My mind's telling me Iowa State's at home with the better coached, I think. Probably a little older if I had to guess at key positions. Yeah, Utah at BYU.
Not Utah.
Dude, worse. Houston. It looks like it's a red logo. Houston at BYU.
They look identical, though.
They do. This is the game. We need Houston to win.
Yeah, this is probably the single most important game of the week. The route to the championship game, probably the most easy route would be a Texas Tech win over West Virginia and BYU lose to Houston. That's the most likely route in my mind. The way I picked this, this game wouldn't matter. CU is already in the championship game because Arizona State and K-State won, or Arizona State lost and Iowa State lost. So it doesn't matter. I think Houston's pretty much it's packed up. A lot of their best players, or a couple of their good players, have already announced they're transferring. I'm not hopeful. And this one, I expect BYU to probably give it to them. Unfortunately,
yeah, that stinks. I have to agree too. Maybe Houston had a fighting chance at home, but on the road, I don't think this team has much of a heartbeat. There's going to be a lot of things will have to fall into place for Houston to have a chance in this game. So, but do I think BYU is a little bit fraudulent? Yes. Do I think Colorado's better than BYU? Probably. Is it going to sting to watch BYU beat Houston and go on to the conference championship game? A team that I think is a little bit fraudulent? Yes.
Well, even if BYU doesn't control their own destiny right now. If all 4 of the teams win next week, it would be Arizona State, Iowa State, which is even lamer.
Oh, okay.
Arguably.
Yeah. That's
so. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to see Iowa State.
Iowa State doesn't deserve to be there. Quite simply,
I think Arizona State would be like Arizona State, Colorado is the match everyone would want to see, but
I think that's the most fun matchup.
Yeah.
Scattaboo versus Travis and Shedeur would be awesome. And Sam Levitt's pretty electric with the ball on his hands. So. Yeah, who knows? That's Big 12 Pick'em though. There you go. If you guys have any other questions, comments, feel free to throw them in the chat, or else we'll probably wrap this up. Get ready for Thanksgiving tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. Well, I'm not worried about this week, I will say. Oklahoma State is not high on my list of dangerous teams. So there's that. I think this is just going to be a fun one to sit back and just watch the show, not be super stressed. Yeah. Excited for that. I think we're going to take off, though. But thank you guys so much for coming in. Thanks so much for chatting with us. Don't know what the plans are after this. We'll have to kind of see how Saturday goes, if there's a championship game. And bowl game wise, there will be a basketball podcast very soon. Oh, we do have a question. How do you feel about Travis being snubbed? Not good. That's quite honestly bullshit.
Snubs from the Biletnikoff and the Thorpe. And
he is he's a Biletnikoff finalist.
Okay.
But for some reason, they decided not to make him a finalist for the Thorpe Award. Will Johnson's not even a finalist for the Thorpe Award. This is an awful, awful year. They're all safeties. All the finalists are safeties. Travis, if anybody who's watched enough Colorado football and isn't biased towards not liking the Buffaloes, knows that Travis Hunter is the best defensive back in the country. It's pretty obvious, I feel like. And so many detractors, people talking about his tackle numbers, not realizing that he doesn't get tackles because they never throw the ball at him. It's lame. But also I don't think we need an award to recognize that Travis is by far the best defensive back in the entire country. I feel like if you've watched Colorado football, you know that. If you've watched a significant amount of college football this season, you know that. And he'll have the Heisman at his crib.
Quick, too. Did you hear? I mean, when Dion said it was sort of what I've suspected this whole time, right? Travis Hunter is going to tell teams, I want to play both sides of the ball or don't pick me. And what did Dion say? Someone's got to act right. These teams got to act right. Travis could come back if teams aren't going to pay him the amount of money.
We'll have to see.
That won't happen.
No, it's not. And if there may be some trading around picks.
It might be an organic situation.
I think that's more likely than Travis comes back.
Yeah, someone might pick him and then dish him.
And then Chris also says, since we don't run the ball, I'm nervous we might lose some running backs in the portal. I wouldn't be nervous if I was you.
Well, Offerdahl will be here for sure.
Offerdahl will be here.
Will be here. Dallin Hayden, I don't really care if we lose, to be honest.
I think that's an experiment that's run its course.
Yeah, here's the big thing, Chris, is do we care?
No, and to be quite frank, the offense is going to look a lot different next year than it did this year, because this year the offense is entirely tailored around Shedeur and Shedeur making reads. That's not going to be an option next year. So I think with a rookie quarterback, or not a rookie, but a freshman quarterback, they're going to
go out and get a senior safety or a senior running back. Jeez,
I was like, okay,
what? You're like, what?
It happens.
Go out and get a senior running back, some dude that's just going to tear it up, or like a junior. Get one of the best. Go out and get the best dude you can. We should be looking at the transfer portal.
Go get Malachi Hughes from Tulane. That'd be pretty cool.
There you go.
Or there's some other pretty good running backs in the Big 12. No comment. No, I have nothing else to say. I love Shedeur, but I agree the offense will be way better without him. That I do not agree with. Shedeur is the best quarterback that the school's ever seen. However,
you said ever seen, yeah, maybe
he is.
Maybe, yeah,
he is. Cordell Stewart's pretty awesome too, but this Shedeur is the best quarterback to ever put on a Colorado uniform. This offense is really fun to watch, and I don't think the offense is going to be better without Shedeur Sanders at quarterback. However,
Chris,
I think the offense will be more balanced without Shedeur Sanders.
I think Chris is unhinged. I kind of like Chris, dude. I think he might be cooking. Listen,
Chris, come back whenever we do another live podcast. We'll talk some ball with you, brother.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll talk some ball with you.
I think that this guy has got it figured out. Hey, listen, there's some valid critiques of Shedeur, right? He runs around in the pocket. He doesn't hit throws on time.
Taking dumb sacks. That's something he does fairly regularly.
Right.
However, Shedeur,
at the same time, you're not going to get somebody at this level of football as accurate, as poised. I mean, the big thing is poised. I mean, Cam Ward, though. Cam Ward's like out there. Like, I think he maybe takes an edible before the game or something. You know what I mean? I don't know what.
Cam Ward just his 3-step drop looks like he's like walking to get a glass of milk at 4 a.m. It's like, I don't know. He's like, like taking little tippy toe steps at like the speed of a turtle.
Bro is just there for the vibe. Honestly, I think Cam Ward's just there for the vibe. I don't even think he cares if he goes to the NFL. He's like, pick me, don't pick me. I don't care. I'll just go play basketball or something. I don't even know if he cares. Like, what is this dude's deal? I love him. I think he'll be a high pick in the draft too. But at the same time, though, some coach is going to get their hands on Cam Ward, and they're going to juice all that they're going to juice all the nonchalantness out of him. They're going to ruin my boy.
I know. He's really funny to watch, though. He is the most calm quarterback I've ever seen in the pocket, to the point where it's almost concerning how calm he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, my whole point was there's valid critiques of Shedeur. I don't know if that's what you're going for, Chris. Maybe you're just a Colorado State fan who says, I don't like that he points at his wrist, like that.
No, Chris is chill. Don't lay into Chris. Chris is chill, man.
No, listen, I'm saying I don't know the situation. Maybe it's valid critiques. Maybe he just doesn't like.
There's certainly valid critiques to make of this offense and Shedeur Sanders. But yeah, there you go. He just subscribed. Thank you for subscribing, and he will be back. We're looking forward to hanging out with you, Chris. But yeah, there you go. We're back. We're on the same page. This is the council. The council has convened here. But yeah, well, I think that's all we got.
That's it.
Jake and I will be at the game. We'll be up chilling in the press box. It'll be a good time. There's going to be some pretty killer content on RalphieReport.com. Second plug of the episode, RalphieReport.com. Go read some articles. We do a pretty good job over there, if I do say so myself. There will be another basketball podcast coming out when we can find the time to record it, quite frankly. We're still working on getting that locked down, and we'll be at the game. Make sure to keep up with the website, at Ralphie Report on Twitter. We're always posting some dumb bullshit on there. Good time to be a Buffs fan. Thank you guys so much for coming to hang out. And like our new friend Chris said, go Buffs, Sco Buffs, whatever derivative of blank Buffs you want to use. Let's beat Oklahoma State this weekend.
Yes, sir. Let's go Buffs.